as I was reading Job 3, I also realized that, some of the stuff that he was saying, I was just like, yo, Job, this is a lot, I felt like I started judging the man because I was like, yo, calm down. And that reminded me about the different fights of faith, which is what I said I was going to explain in my last clip. You know, let me give you an example of what I'm referring to. I had a friend of mine years back who getting married was very important to her. But at the time, I was in a relationship and I was unhappy. So the idea of marriage was a big turn off for me. But she wanted to get married and she was set on it, right? For the longest of time, I was listening to, but it came to a point where I was like, as I was reading Job now, I was like, this is a bit too much. I calm down, you know? And because I loved her so much, it disturbed me that I was growing impatient with her want to get married. Obviously, then that led me to investigate myself. And I realized that we all have our different fights of faith. And my fight of faith might not look like your fight of faith, but it does not mean that mine is important and yours is less. Because I've seen that in the Christian community, where if it doesn't pertain to something or this or that, it's not looked at as an important problem, right? It's not looked at something that, we need to pay attention to that sister or we need to help that sister. Because to us, the problem doesn't look big. That fight of faith that that person is having doesn't look big. And I really want to admonish us as Christians. Christ, the Bible describes Jesus as compassionate. He was compassionate, meaning that everything that everybody felt, he had compassion on them, irrespective of what it was. Imagine life itself. Life itself had to look at all the sicknesses that was walking around. He never once said, you people, why are you people always sick? He always had compassion and he would heal those that wanted to be healed. So I really want to admonish you, women of God, to have compassion with your friends, even if you don't understand why they are struggling with that situation. It doesn't mean that you mustn't show them the same energy. It doesn't mean that you mustn't show them the same level of support that you would want to be shown with your difficult situation that you deem more important than theirs. Right? So we need to stop putting problems in hierarchies. We need to stop putting problems in hierarchies and respect the fact that if somebody is dealing with a difficult situation, whether or not I've overcome it or whether or not I consider it important, it is still important to that person.